Look at that banner. We've got big news out of Athens, Georgia at Bulldog Camp as Jamie Newman, the transfer quarterback from Wake Forest, has opted out for the 2020 season. We are just about 24 days away from college football in the SEC. And again, Georgia's projected starting quarterback has opted out for 2020. Let's get the breakdown from Palmer Thombs on Dawgs 247 Sports. And of course, like, comment, share the videos on social media, and subscribe right here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. That way you hit the bell for the notifications to know when we go live. All right, let's break down that Bulldog updated quarterback room, Palmer. This completely unexpected by even those of you who are there close to the team on a daily basis.
Completely unexpected. I mean, I think Kirby Smart, we've heard from Smart and Ron Corson, Georgia's head athletic trainer this preseason, saying that they had no opt-outs. They were in the clear for COVID-19. They felt good about where they were standing. You know, no opt-outs in over concerns of COVID-19 and the virus in general. There has been a recent spike in cases here in Athens, and that's obviously due to the fact that we're 2 weeks into classes here and students are back on campus. I don't think that was unexpected, but this move by Jamie Newman, certainly unexpected.
So Jamie Newman, dynamic quarterback, dual threat quarterback from Wake Forest. Much anticipation to see his insertion into the offense. Todd Monken run offense to see how it would change. And now we turn our attention to JT Daniels and a host of quarterbacks, but we'll start with Daniels, of course, a former five-star at USC, starting quarterback in 2018 for the Trojans going into 2019. Tore his ACL, lost his job to Keaton Slovis, who then threw for 30 touchdowns. JT Daniels saw the writing on the wall, heads to Athens, Georgia. In regards to his health, eligibility, where does JT Daniels stand?
Yeah, Daniels has been practicing with the team all fall. He's still medically awaiting clearance there. He's been cleared by the NCAA in terms of eligibility, but coming off of that torn ACL, he still is awaiting full clearance there. Really what that means is that he's just not cleared for contact. And that really doesn't affect the way that he's been able to prepare. Georgia, like every team in the country, is not going to have their quarterbacks getting hit by their defenders in practice. And so JT Daniels has been a full participant there. Was an active participant in the scrimmage this past weekend, has been going through drills. There are 12, 13 practices into this thing, and Daniels has been there all the way through. It really doesn't change anything there. I mentioned to you that this changes everything, but it changes nothing in the fact that Jamie Newman was expected to be the starter. Jamie Newman was brought in days after Jake Fromm announces that he heads to the NFL, was brought in before Georgia hired a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. It changes who is going to be the expected starter. But at the same time, it doesn't change anything in the fact that Georgia is replacing their 3-year starting quarterback, Jake Fromm, with someone who has yet to start a game in the SEC, doing so with a new offensive coordinator, high hopes for the offense, and high hopes for this team this year. I think regardless of who ends up being that quarterback and starting under center for Georgia September 26th against Arkansas, there's high hopes for this team and high expectations.
One of the last times we had Jan Palmer, one of the themes was this quarterback room is loaded. Why would JT Daniels opt for Georgia if he's looking for a place to start at quarterback, not with just Jamie Newman being projected as the starter and having a nice season at Wake Forest in 2019, but also just the loads of talent coming in. It's inexperienced talent, and now the door's open for Daniels and others. So can you set us up in regards to the way the depth chart now looks?
Yeah, it's funny how quickly things can change. I remember back in late May, early June, we were talking about JT Daniels coming into a loaded room with Jamie Newman in his way, potentially. And now it looks like it's Daniels' job to lose. He's got some competition with Dwan Mathis, who was in Athens last year. He's a redshirt freshman this year, was able to get medical redshirt last year, didn't play in any games, had a cyst removed from his brain. And that was a scary situation, but he's been back on the field, and early word out of camp is that he's really been impressing. You've seen him featured a lot in Georgia's practice highlight videos, practice photos. I think there's something to be said about that, and I think Mathis could be a potential contender for this job. especially with the way that Daniels has yet to be medically cleared. Mathis is probably, if they were going full contact, Mathis is the guy. Now, again, they're not going to go full contact with their quarterbacks, and so JT Daniels is still getting those reps, but I think Mathis is certainly getting a lot of first-team reps. You know, we talked to Kirby after the scrimmage, and he said 4 quarterbacks got reps with the first team at some point during the scrimmage. That would be Jamie Newman, JT Daniels, Dwan Mathis, and Carson Beck. The notable omission there of the 5 scholarship quarterbacks is Stetson Bennett. Bennett being the only returning guy from last year that played. He played in 5 games. Former walk-on here at Georgia, left and went to junior college, came back on a scholarship once Justin Fields left, and he was the backup last year to Jake Fromm. Played in 5 games. All of it came in mop-up duty, with the exception of 1 snap in the SEC championship game. Fromm went down with a rolled ankle or something. He went out for 1 play. Stetson came in for a 3rd down. And Georgia turned the ball over, punting on 4th down. So with the exception of that 1 play, it's been a bunch of mop-up duty for him. He's impressed Georgia's coaches, obviously enough to bring him back on scholarship after the loss of Fields and headed into last season. So, he's got talent. I don't know that he is a front runner for this job. I think that would still go to Daniels and Mathis as the 2 really competing for this job. Again, back on that, it changes everything but doesn't change anything concept. It doesn't change anything in the fact that Georgia's going to have a quarterback competition for their number 1 job. It's between JT Daniels and Dwan Mathis more than likely, but you've got Bennett in there, and then you've got true freshman Carson Beck in there coming in from Jacksonville, Florida.
We have football in the SEC 3 weeks from Saturday. For Georgia, that's a trip to Arkansas, probably the lightest touch in the conference. So a good little warm-up for whomever wins the quarterback job. But then it heats up real quick with this murderer's row of Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida. My goodness. So, of course, Georgia's going to have to be on their game starting in week 2. Not that they can look past an SEC opponent in Arkansas, but again, the worst team in the SEC over the past few years. Jamie Newman opts out, kind of an inopportune time, but they still have 3+ weeks. And obviously, the other quarterbacks are taking reps and taking snaps in practice. JT Daniels, the headliner, is the former 5-star from USC. Palmer Thombs online from Dawgs 247. We encourage you to head on over there for complete coverage of Georgia football as the Dawgs ready for the 2020 campaign. Palmer, we appreciate you stopping by and laying down the situation following the big news.
Absolutely. Always happy to come on.